Hello students, hope you are doing well and you are also studying well during this lockdown. Alright, welcome to this video. So today we'll be going for the next concept. So before we go for the next concept, we'll discuss what we have spoken about in the previous couple of videos. So we have spoken about arithmetic mean and then also median. So arithmetic mean, due to some examples, we have observed that if there are very large values or very small values in the distribution, then the arithmetic mean gets deviated from the central value. Okay, so these kind of values will disturb the value of arithmetic mean, and that may actually not relate with all the values or most of the central values in the distribution. So for the arithmetic mean, it gets fluctuated due to too high or large values or too small values. Then we came to know about median. So median is not on the weightage of any kind of small or large values. So median gives you the one middle element such that half of the elements of the entire distributions are on left side and remaining half on the right side. So this is how median gives you the central one, which can divide the entire distribution into two equal parts with half number of elements on both the sides. So this mean and median, if they are near to each other, then we can still say that central part of the distribution is evenly distributed. Alright, even if there are too large or too small values, then arithmetic mean will deviate from the central part, and also the median will at the central part, and there will be more fluctuation between median and the arithmetic mean. So basically median will give you the middlemost element in the entire distribution in such a way that half of the values are on both the sides of the median. So this is how we study about the central tendency of the entire distribution. So now we'll have a look at this example. Suppose this is the frequency graph I have drawn. Then you can see here, this is the peak. This is where you have got the maximum frequency. So now suppose this way, these are the class intervals we have. Then from the maximum frequency, there are again more number of classes hereafter. So though this is contributing more to the entire distribution, then the median is still likely to have the middlemost element, and we have few more classes at this stage. So median would be the middlemost, sorry, it can be somewhere here, that is again near to the central part but away from central and towards right side, such that it will divide all the elements into two equal parts. And then the arithmetic mean would be much near to the central class, but again little inclined towards right side. So here we might be having arithmetic mean. So this would be our mean value and this would be our median value. So both of them are in the near to the central part, and they are giving us the value which are near to the central. One is giving the value which is dividing the distribution into two parts, and another is giving you the value which is the mean of this entire distribution. So this mean gets fluctuated due to high values or too small values. So if there are some values which are too small in the entire distribution, then you can expect mean inclined towards left. So this way, this is getting affected due to too large and too small values, and median gets affected due to the number of observations. So if due to the number of observations, just half of it, there you get the median. So both of them getting affected, one by the too small and too large values, and median getting affected by the number of or the size of the entire distribution. Okay, so it may happen so that there could be again 2-3 classes with some constant numbers or constant number of items. So that again increases the size. Then that median again goes towards right side to just make two halves of the entire distribution. So apart from these two, we have one more such statistical measure, that is again the measure for central tendency. So that takes into account the frequency and also the items around surrounded by. So the new measure for you is mode value or the modal value. So the mode value of the distribution is the one which has got the maximum frequency or the highest frequency. So it's not only the element with maximum frequency, it is the considerable maximum frequency or the one which is with one of the highest frequency and which is around which most of the items are dense. In this case, if you consider this part of the frequency, which is the higher part of the frequency, then that modal value would be such that these all items are surrounded around that modal value and that modal value is also having the highest frequency. So it is not only the points where we have mean or median, it is the point which is considering the peak of the frequency and also the dense of the elements around that value. So this is how the modal value is considered. So basically mode is the value with highest frequency and with more number of elements around it, or the number of elements as well as elements are dense very much near around it, that is called as the modal value of the class. So basically this mean, median and mode, all three of them tells you about the central tendency. These are also called as the measures of central tendency of the entire distribution. So the mean tells you about the value which can replace most of the elements, but again mean gets fluctuated by too small or too large values. Then the median divides it and finds the middlemost element in the entire distribution or the middlemost class. Then mode gives you the element around which most of the elements are dense. So these are the three main measures of the central tendency. So now as definition tells about that it is with the maximum frequency. So in this case, now suppose if the given data is this way, and with their frequencies, so now in this case it is very much clear that 7 would be the mode of this entire class. Okay, this would be the modal value because it has got the highest frequency. It is not only highest frequency, it is considerably highest frequency because other 4 frequencies are with much difference from 18. If we would have here 17, then we have to follow a different method. Just from this it is clear cut that 7 is the mode of this entire distribution. Alright, so then how would you find the arithmetic mean for this? Then it's very simple, multiplying these two and calculating. So now in this case what happens, arithmetic mean would be very much near to 7, but in that case if you consider the first half and second half, first half is contributing just 12 and second half is contributing 21. So the arithmetic mean would be near to 7 but still greater than 7. So you can expect arithmetic mean somewhere 7.7 or 7.9 around by studying the frequency pattern. Okay, and then considering the median. So to calculate the median we have to find the total of it. Okay, so total of this all would be so 51 is total, so 50 n plus 1 divided by 2 elements. So that gives you 52 divided by 2 gives you 26. So then 26 would be, so this we have to calculate the cumulative frequencies. So this gives you 3, then gives you 12. So 26 would come here in the third row itself. So your median would also be 7. Okay. So if we add here some 2 numbers along with some minimum frequency, then that would shift your median to the next class. Because median is just to make 2 halves of the entire distribution. So this is how we find the modal value. Okay. So now we'll have an example where the modal value is not clear cut seen, and we have to calculate using a method called as. Okay, have a look on this example. So this is the data about the number of subscribers for the different kind of recharge amounts. So starting from 199 to 899. So the number of subscribers are given 8, 12, 22, 18, 21, 20, 15, 8. So these are the frequencies given. Okay, so now from this 22 is the maximum one, which is having the maximum frequency, but after 399, which is with maximum frequency 22, we have 599, which is with frequency 21. The difference between the frequency is hardly one. So without rechecking this, that we cannot declare here the modal value is 399. We have to apply a grouping method. Now, when it is not considerably high, or when it is not considerably highest frequency, we have to also check the number of elements around it, or the how the other elements are densed around one particular value. That is the major concern. So in that case, we if you look at 399, around 22, I mean about when we have 12 and 8 beside 22, I mean before 22, and after we have 18 and 21. So due to the difference between the frequencies too small, we cannot declare the modal value of 399 as 22. If we come to know the same mode value after applying grouping, then it is very much clear. We can go for declaring that this is the modal value. So the grouping method is like this. We have to pair the frequency values. So we have to group into two each. So for example, I will have a column here where I group the two value, that is 199 and 299 together. Then 399 and 499 together, and then 599, 699, 799, 899. So these will be groups of 2, 2, and summation of their frequencies would be written. Similarly, we have to go for 3, 3, and then 4, 4. So in this case, we have total 8. So we cannot group more than 4. So once we group into 4, 4, it gives you 2 parts. If you go for 5, that gives you only one group. So we have to group until you are able to make at least 2 groups. Okay. So now let's start. So first, now let me denote this column as 1. So I have the column 2 here. Okay, so column 2 where I'll be writing the sum of 2 sequences. Okay. So and it is group of 2's. So let me please expand this table. Okay, so first I'll be grouping these two, that is 199 and 299 together. So sum of these two I'll be writing here. So let me write it in this way. So sum of these two is 20. Then sum of these two gives me 38. Sorry. This gives me 40. Then sum of these two gives me 41. And sum of last two gives me 23. Alright. Okay, so this is how I have written the sum of numbers. Then third column, here also I'll be having grouping of 2's. but I will leave the first one. I'll start with second. So this will give me second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth, seven. Okay, this way. So if I go for these two, so this gives me 22 plus 12 plus 22 gives me 34. Then adding these two together, so this gives me 39, and this gives me 35. So what I have done here, I have left the first one. So this I am not writing, as well as this. So the sum of these two, sum of these two, and sum of these two frequencies. So this gives me 34, then 39, and then 35. Okay. Then the next, if you miss first and second, and if you start with third and fourth, you'll repeat these same values. So making the combination of twos, you can have only two columns. Okay. Now I have to go for the combination of threes. I have to make the group of three elements. Or so let me have this column as column 4. So I need to add 1, 2, 3, then 1, 2, 3, then last two would be blank. So 1, 2, 3. So this gives me 52. Okay. So this is what the sum of three elements. This way, and this way. Then these three I have to add together. So this gives me 59. So addition of these three would be 59. Then we are remaining with 2 where grouping of 3 is not possible. So let me leave it blank. Okay. So now again I'll continue with 3 groups leaving the first one. So I'll have here column 5. Then leaving the first value, I need to add these 3. So summation of these 3, that is 12, 22, and 18. So this also gives me 52. So this is the sum of 3 elements. Okay. Then next 3. So these 3 we have considered, then these 3. So this gives me 21 plus 20 plus 15. 56 would be the sum of these 3. And then the last element I cannot group, so I have to leave it. Then I can have one more combinations, one more column of threes, group of threes. So let me add column 6 here. Now I have to leave first 2. So after leaving these 2, I have to write the sum of these 3. I mean 22 plus 18 plus 21. So this gave me 61. And then the next 3 elements, that is 21 plus 20 plus 15. Sorry, 61 we have got by adding 22, 18, and 21. Then the next 3 elements are 20, 15, and 8. So I have to add these last 3 elements for the second group. So 20 plus 15 plus 8 gives me 43. Okay, so hope you have understood the grouping of 3s as well. So grouping of 3, we can have 3 columns. Grouping of 2s, we can have 2 columns. Then I have to go for next, that is group of 4s. So 4 values together. So I'll have here column 7. So I have to add first four values, that is 8, 12, 22, 18. So this gives me 60. Then the last four items, that is 21, 20, 15, 8. These four items I need to add. That gives me 64. Okay. Then if you leave the first item and then form a group of fours, then we'll left with three items. So with 8 items, group of fours further is not possible. So grouping of 4 hereafter it's not possible. So we'll stop here. So now we are done with grouping and calculating the frequencies of every group. Okay. Now from each column, let me highlight the highest value. So from the column 1, the highest value is 22. Okay. From the column 2, the highest value is 41. From the column 3, the highest value is 39. From column 4, the highest value is 59. From column 5, it is 56. From column 6, it is 61. And from column 7, it is 64. So we have just highlighted the highest values from each column. Okay. So now if you look at the highest value range, the first value is from 399. Okay. So there is no higher value related. Okay. In this column, if you see, there is no higher value related to 199 and 299. So we have higher values in 399 row as well as in 499, 599, 699. 799 and 899. You can say this value 64, which is the sum of last four elements, that still contributes to 799 and 899. But looking at their frequency, they are on the lower side. So now we are worried about only these values, that is 399, 499, 599 and 699. So we are expecting that modal values could be anywhere among these four. Okay. So 799 and 899 are contributing to the highest value 64 here, but their frequencies are too low compared to these four frequencies. It is just 20, 21, 22, 18. So all these frequencies are the higher frequencies among all, and just one or two differences there among them. So these four values, 399, 499, 599 and 699. So we may expect the modal value among these four. Now I need to form one more table. So depending on the number of columns we have in this table, those many rows we have to add it to the next table. Okay. So now my row number, I give it as in the same way, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So I am going to have 7 rows into my next table with the same titles. That is one, is it this? So these are the row heads or row titles, you can say. Then I can have total. Okay, and the values of this X values or the recharge amount values, which we have assumed that where there will be the modal value. So those values I'll be writing it as column values. Okay. So now 399, then 499, 599 and 699. So this would become my columns now. Alright, so this is how I have formed the table. Now, if you want to take 199 and 299, you can have two columns first, 199 and 299. These all columns, then again you can also have 799 and 899. So by looking at the problem and their maximum values, it is not required to have them because I'm quite sure that 199, 299, 799 and 899, these four are not my modal value. Mode value would not be any these would not be among 199, 299 and 7 and 899. These four will never be mode values by considering their frequency pattern and also considering their frequency values. So these four values would not be the mode value. Okay. Then mode values I am expecting among these four. Alright. Now look at the column 1. In the column 1, the maximum value is 22. And that value 22 is of the alone 399. So I have to give 1 point in the 399 for its column 1. So here I'll have 1 mark. Okay. Then go for the column 2. So here we have the row 2. So in the column 2, the maximum one is 41. And 41 is the sum of 20 and 21. Okay. So this is the maximum one is 41, which is the sum of 20 and 21. And these two frequencies of 599 and 699. So for this, I have to mark 1 for both of them into this table. So that is 599 and 699, 1 each. Okay. Hope you have understood this. Then in the third column, we find the maximum one is 39, which is the sum of 18 and 21, which is 499, 599. So for the third column, we have for this maximum value, we have to give 1 for 499 and 599 in this table. So it is 499 1 and 599 1. Okay. So hope you are clear. First column was with only 1 frequencies. Second and third was group of 2. So in the second you'll have two ones, and in the third also you'll have 2 ones. So column 4, 5, 6 are grouping of 3. So the maximum where we find those all 3 frequencies contributing will have 1 here. Okay, now look at the column 4, and in the column 4 we find 59 is the maximum value. So this 59 is the sum of 18, 21, 20, which are the frequencies of 499, 599, 699. So here I'll be marking for 499, 599 and 699. So if you have understood this mark. Then for the column 5, 56 is maximum. Okay. So this is the sum of 21, 20, 15. Then that is the related with 599, 699 and 799. So I'll be having 1 for 599, then 699, 799 we have not added, otherwise we would have had here 1 for 799. Okay, so for your reference, okay, just for reference, let me add here 799 will have 1 mark. Then for the column 6, 61 is your maximum, and that is the sum of 399, 499, 599. So it is the sum of the frequencies of 399, 499 and 599. So 3, 4, 5. So I have to mark 399, 499 and 599. Okay. And then the last column, column 7 is 64 is maximum, which is the sum of frequencies of the last 4 frequencies starting from 5, 6, 7, 8. So 7th one is 5, 6, 7 and then 8. 899. Okay. So now you might have understood that we have to find the total, and by looking at the number of ones, 599 has more number of ones. So the total is this way. So this is 1 and this is with 3. This is with 6, 4, then 2 and 1. So the maximum ones are alright. So maximum ones we have got for this value 599. So 599 is 1, which is, though it is not having the highest frequency, it is the second largest frequency, but the number of items around 599, I mean those 499 and 699. So 599 is having more number of items, what you can say, dense, more number of items dense around it. So modal value for this is 599. So mode value for this, we now conclude it is 599. Now this is the example where you see, though maximum frequency is given, or maximum frequency is for 399, but that's not the modal value. Modal value is 599. It is with one of the higher frequencies, but also more number of items around it. So this is how we have to find the mode values. So hope you are clear with this. So once again, just to revise, we have this column 1 with single frequencies, column 2 is the sum of two frequencies, and column 3 is also sum of two frequencies with leaving first one. Then column 4, 5, 6 are the sum of 3 frequencies each, and then column 7 is sum of 4 frequencies. So if suppose I would have had here 10 elements, then with 4 frequencies we might have done one more column. Alright. So then with 5 you would have only one column. So it depends also on the number of elements, so the number of X values you have in the table. So hope you have understood this example. So there is one such example in textbook as well. You can try to solve it on yourself. So there also you can see the maximum frequency is given to one element, but the element with third highest frequency in the example, where I'm talking about the example from textbook. So there the element with third highest frequency is the modal value. It is not only because of the highest frequency, it is also because of the elements around it. How thickly the elements are dense around one particular value, which is also having the higher frequency. That will give you the mode value. So mode value talks about not only the higher frequency element, but also about the distribution where we have more number of elements. So this is how mode is completely different from mean and median. So these three are the measures of your central tendency. So now we'll go for the next example. Now this is this example where X and frequencies are given. We have to also see where class intervals are given along with their frequency, that is mode for the group data. So that we'll be discussing in the connecting video.